Hey guys, quick video here on finding an equation of a line. And actually, I'm probably going to break this video into a couple of little parts because finding an equation of a line depends on, well, a lot of things. What kind of facts are you given about the line? So typically in our class, you have kind of three scenarios. So you're going to be given some facts. And I'm going to write 1, 2, 3 here. And you'll be reading the problem, and either you're going to be kind of told right away, here's the slope and here's the y-intercept. So it's going to be kind of given to you as a fact. So you get the slope given to you, and you're given the y-intercept. This is probably the easiest case, because if someone tells you what the slope and the y-intercept of a line is, they pretty much are handing you the equation of the line. So that's our ideal situation, the easiest one. The second scenario is they give you the slope, but then they just give you like a random point on the line. So they give you the slope, and then they give you some other point, any point on the line really. And I'm going to write slope and point. And that can happen. And then sometimes they don't even tell you the slope. Sometimes you get limited to just getting 2 points on the line. So sometimes you just get 2 points. Well, the idea is no matter what facts you're given, you should be able to write an equation of the line. So hopefully you can do it within all of these different scenarios. And we're going to start with the first one here, slope and y-intercept. And I'll give you an example of just kind of how easy this one is. So here's the example. Feel free to pause the video if you need to. Example 1. You know a line has the slope 2/3 and a y-intercept of -1. Write an equation of a line. Okay, so you know that there is a slope of 2/3, I'll circle that, and a y-intercept of -1. Well, they just handed you the facts. They just told you that slope, m, is equal to our rise over run, delta y over delta x, and that is 2/3. They also just told you that the y-intercept, which we usually denote with the letter b, is equal to -1. Well, if you have those facts, writing the equation is fairly simple. All you're going to do is write, okay, so equation of a line, y equals mx plus b. M is my slope, in this case it's 2/3, and b is my y-intercept, and in this case it's -1. Like I said, it was pretty much given to you. So y equals 2/3 x minus 1 is the equation of my line. And I'm done. Not a lot of other work I can show. If I'm trying to go above and beyond and do something extra, maybe I'll graph it or take it farther from there. But right now, that answered the question. So I'm going to be happy with that. So let's give you another one to try. In fact, if you wanted to, you could pause the video and just make sure you kind of have this down. Next example, you know a line has a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of 3. Write an equation for the line. Okay, so you know that a line has a slope of 2, that's the slope, and a y-intercept of 3. So m for slope is equal to 2, and y-intercept b is equal to 3. So we take our equation, y equals mx plus b, and we substitute those important numbers in. We put 2 in for the m, and we put 3 in for the b. And we get our equation, y equals 2x plus 3. There's my line. You can see what I mean about these being fairly easy. They get more complicated when the facts start changing. So if I no longer give you the y-intercept, well then you have to do a little bit more work to figure that out. So that's kind of your next step. Okay, so let's talk about what happens when they give you slope and point. So you're reading a problem on a test, or you're working on your homework, and the clues that they give you are, they tell you the slope of a line, and they give you 1 point that the line crosses through. To give you an example, here's a problem. A line has a slope of 3 and passes through the point 2, 5. Write an equation for this line. So let's kind of go through how you would approach this problem. Now the slope of 3 is a huge clue right there. If my slope, which we use the letter m, is equal to 3, I already have one important fact. I also have something else here. I know that there's a point at 2 and 5. That means that there is an x and a y value on my graph that correlate to 2 and 5. Okay, well think about the equation of a line, y equals mx plus b. Already I know what the m is, so I'm going to start by doing this. I'm going to start by substituting in 3, my m, and writing y equals 3x plus b. I don't know b yet. That's what I still got to figure out. They didn't tell me the y-intercept. They're going to make me work for it a little bit more. So they did give me an x and a y value on the line. Why don't I take 2 and 5, 2 being the x, and why don't I substitute that in right there? And why don't I take the 5, the y, and substitute that in for y? And if I do that, I'm going to have this. I'm going to have 5 equals 3x, so 3 times 2 plus b. And I can actually do the work and solve for b now. 3 times 2 is 6, so I have 5 equals 6 plus b. I'm going to subtract the 6 over to the other side. 5 minus 6 is negative 1 equals b. And then I'm much happier. Now the common mistake is to circle this and forget what your process was and say, there's my answer, b equals negative 1. Well, don't forget what the question was. You're supposed to be writing an equation of a line. So not your final answer. Maybe be careful not to circle that at all. Instead, let's go back up and rewrite y equals mx plus b. But now we know what b is. It's negative 1. So now we're going to put negative 1 right there. And now we know m is 3. So we're going to put 3 in for m. And I'm very comfortable with writing a rule now. Y equals 3x minus 1. You can write plus negative 1 or just minus 1. There's your equation. So that's kind of the idea behind these problems, is you have to work for them a little bit more. We had to go and solve for the b. So you could write yourself a little note about these up here. You could say these are the ones where you have to work to find the y-intercept. It's not given to you, which is fine. Let's try another one. Let's do another one just to keep practicing. All right, so here's another question. A line has a slope of 2 and passes through the point 1, negative 3. Write an equation of a line. Pause the video and you try it yourself and see if you can get it right. And then unpause it and we'll go through the answer. Okay, so here's what they give you. Slope of 2, so m equals 2. They also give you this point up here at positive 1 and negative 3. So that's an x number and a y value on the graph. The line is literally crossing through that point at 1 and negative 3 on the graph. So it's going right through there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write my equation, y equals mx plus b. I don't know what b is yet, but we're going to figure it out. I do know what m is. M is 2. My slope is 2, so I have a y equals 2x equation plus b. I don't know b. But to figure this out, now that I have these x and y numbers I can work with, if x is 1 on the line, then I'll put a 1 here. And if y is negative 3, then I'll put a negative 3 there. And I'll do my work and I'll solve. So let's solve this thing. Negative 3 equals 2x, so 2 times 1 plus b. Easy, we can do it from here. 2 times 1 is 2. So we have negative 3 equals 2 plus b. Going to subtract the 2 over, flip it over to a negative 3 minus 2, which is negative 5, equals b. And I'm going to circle that as my value. So now that we have b figured out, we go back up, we change our y equals mx plus b. We basically fill in the facts that we needed, so we have a slope of 2, that'll be my m, and now we have a negative 5 for our b, our y-intercept. So our rule, or our equation, is y equals 2x minus 5.